that intersection is extremely important. And the findings are as follows. It's not considered a core aspect of agile ways of working, nor agile or business agility. That is, DE&I is not considered at all. Many agile processes are built to suit the majority, which excludes each members with diverse attributes, right? And I have to say, as coaches, or as a coach many years back, I too was had not thought about it when early on when I was practicing. Scrum was the framework of choice at the time that I was working much earlier on, many moons ago, and I won't date myself. But one of the things that I made a mistake was creating exercises around and planning this huge exercise around what I thought was needed for the team. And coming to the conclusion while I was in that retrospective that I left someone out. And I had not planned to leaving that individual out, but I did. Accidentally. And you can imagine that we all do this, right? At one point or another, we make mistakes. We're human, right? But we need to become better aware. And many of these practices, we tend to preset and think, or maybe become to a certain degree fanatic about the frameworks and just follow the frameworks and not necessarily address what's needed. And in this case, my fault was actually excluding an individual who could not participate in the retrospective exercise that I had for them. And I was definitely not prepared for that session. But after that, I made sure I would actually include different exercises to allow that individual to participate, right? Many don't understand diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I think it's because we tend to forget the values behind it. We either are so busy in trying to follow a framework or getting to through our career. And unfortunately, I have to say, I've seen a lot of this where coaches are more career driven in that respect. They want to jump the ladder. Many don't have enough experience and either want to come from a project management space or have come out of other different spaces, and they don't really have enough of a foundation to work around with teams. And so they don't see value to DE&I or even think about it. In fact, one of the questions was, where was the intersection? And the answer by many of the participants was they did not think about it. They have not thought about it. And like I was guilty of doing exactly that many moons ago. But today, we need to make sure that we open up awareness around this, right? We need to start thinking more about how all of this puzzle fits together. And you'll see biases still persist in organizations, prejudice still exists. We have to acknowledge the fact that these things are out there. We also have to acknowledge the fact that diversity inside teams or inside organizations presents more issues, and it will be a challenge. But if we are aware of what those challenges could be, we could be ahead of the curve, right? We can address them. So we shouldn't be ignoring these issues. They're there regardless of whether or not we either act on it or try to influence against it. They will be there. And it's on us to understand that these biases exist, whether it be prejudices, whether there be just a simple, and this is something that I saw in a team that I was working with a few years back, where there was a click between the development team on some of the teams, and this is a total of 8 teams. And just one of those teams, it had individuals that behaved more like high school cliques, where they would text each other. They had a new Scrum Master, and that new Scrum Master was working really hard to put them together. I was there coaching all of them and noticed that they were too busy going back and forth on their phone, and they were making fun of him. And you can hear the ping, ping, ping left and right, completely ignoring him, totally disrespectful. Obviously, I did something about that, but that clique was so exclusive, and it was age that they were excluding. So this was a younger crowd, very familiar with texting and messaging and whatnot. But the Scrum Master was way older. And they treated him and made him feel that age. And that's the sort of thing, that we need to be aware of, right? Be conscious that these things will happen. And the more conscious we're aware of and be able to see, the more we can do about it, right? Agile ways of working are not designed to create or encourage or support inclusive teams, right? We need to find better ways of working together. We need to find better awareness. We need to be able to encourage and support inclusivity in teams. Diverse and empowered teams working inclusive, equitable, can create products that appeal to a wider range of customers. This finding was very important because at the core of business agility is the customer. So the more diverse and empowered these teams will be, the more inclusive, the better the products will be, the better the service to our end user, our customer will be. Which reminds me of another story of a young lady who was in marketing and in product development specifically. And they were going through a product that was for curly hair. But the individual that was running the whole shop had straight hair. And no matter what this product developer said, she was ignored. No matter what she presented, and the issues behind certain heat elements and the difference between straight hair and curly hair, the individual felt that she knew better and decided to go out to market with what they understood. That excluded a whole bunch of people, including myself, who have curly hair, right? And the product then is limited to just straight hair. Does that really service the organization? Is that profitable for the organization? So keeping in mind that equity, diversity, and inclusion could service your customers better